My name's Sam Dobbs. I'm a sergeant in Northamptonshire Police, and I am a neighbourhood sergeant for the Daventry district. I was a teacher before I was a police officer. As a child I always wanted to be a police officer, and then you grow up a little bit and you think, oh, maybe that's not for me. My dad was really hacked off because he'd put loads of money into getting me a degree and a postgraduate, and now I was throwing it all away. My mum was more worried about, well, does that mean I'm going to get assaulted and beaten up, and am I really hard enough and resilient enough, because it's a big jump from teaching into policing. But actually, as I went through the process and the training and they realised how much I enjoyed it, I think now they're immensely proud. The job gives you exposure to so many things if you're a curious person. I shall never forget going to visit a family on Christmas Eve to wreck that family's life, to tell them their dad had just been killed in an industrial accident. And I can still remember their faces. I can remember going to the door, the panic on their faces as we broke their Christmas into little bits and their lives into little bits. That one is one that sticks in my mind. But in 29 years you have the funny side. There are things that make you laugh, there are things that make you cry, and even 29 years on there are things that make me laugh and things that make me cry. I think somebody breaking that kind of news is one of the biggest burdens and biggest privileges that a human being can be given to help out another human being. I got the choice last year of breaking that similar news to actually somebody I knew relatively well, and it was me that said, if anybody's going to tell that lady, now a widow, that her husband's just been killed in a car crash, I want it to be me, because I think it's really important that we get those things right, and that's, nobody forgets a death message, as we call them, and it's part of the job that, as I say, is both privilege and burden. One other that sticks in my mind is coming across on the way into work a car in a ditch which hadn't yet been reported, and the man was effectively unconscious in the ditch, really badly injured, and I remember having to get into the car, into the back of the car, as colleagues cleared the back of the car out, and I was there for 2 hours as the helicopter landed and all the fire and rescue and ambulance services arrived, and he was perilously close to death. And my job was literally, and I never did find out what he looked like for weeks after, was to hold his head, and all the doctor said, whisper in his ear that he's going to be okay and reassure him. For 2 hours I had to have that script of it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, and he remembers that. I've had some real personal challenges in life, and actually I look at it the other way. It's probably policing that's allowed me to get through, and I won't say over, but to have dealt with some of those issues. And I think it does offer a structure and gives you a way of dealing with a training and a discipline to deal with really whatever work throws at you, and that's helpful for when you get some of the low ballers that life throws at you in your personal life. One New Year's Eve I came to work, and my partner had committed suicide during my duty, and I got called to my home address, and that is the worst thing I'll ever have to deal with. And alongside all the other blue lights that are outside my house, it's probably the lowest point in my life. Knowing what support was around me, knowing how the system worked, scared me a little. It was work that probably saw me through that lowest ebb. And now I turn that weakness, if you like, or that vulnerability into hopefully a strength, because I decided on the result of that, that there are people daily out there who want to commit suicide. So my little thing is I applied and I trained to be a hostage and crisis negotiator, so I have a little bit to give back. If anybody tells you it's just a job, it's not just a job, it's a vocation, it's a calling. It's the bit which makes people, police officers and police staff, run into a problem when everybody else is running out of a problem.